Okay, so the next part of the project is going to be the picture holder, which we're going to be building out of plexiglass, which is actually just some plastic. If I peel this back, you can see that this is a clear piece of plastic underneath here. Just prove it to you. What we need to do is we need to finish this edge. So if you can see it, the edges on here are pretty beat up from the saw marks, tooth marks going through here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to change gears a little bit. We are still going to be sanding this, but we're going to be doing it wet. So we have some water. Usually we do this over by the sink. There's a couple buckets. This sandpaper, the 400 and 600 grain or grit sandpaper, works well for this because you can get it nice and wet. The water actually acts like a little bit of a medium to carry the dust away. Plastic, if I was sanding it, the plastic gets up into the air, you breathe it in, it's not good for you. That's one reason why we wet sand. And the other reason is so that we don't clog the sandpaper. So I'm just going to dip this in some water. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to start out with a heavier grit. Now, I joke because it's 400 sandpaper. It's really not that heavy of a grit when we talk about plastic and things like that. 400 grit is pretty heavy grit. So I'm just going to use that water, keep dipping this guy in here, and then sanding down the edges. The paper, we typically want to keep that on the plexiglass as long as we can. It protects it from getting scratched so that the surface doesn't scratch while you're working with the material. So if you lay it down on the workbench or something like that, you don't wind up with big gouge marks in your plastic picture frame before you even get it on. So I'm going to spend a couple minutes here just sanding down one side. We just dipped it just to clean off some of the plastic that's there so you can see it's clear. And again, I'm moving the sandpaper around a little bit just to get fresh grit on the plastic. Sometimes it wants to bind up on you. Go slow. It's not a race. And you see I'm using my thumb, pushing down. When I get it where I want it, with the 400, I'm going to move up to the 600 because that's going to make it nice and smooth, finished. I shouldn't have to spend as much time with the 600 grit sandpaper as I did with the 400. But still, like I said in the last video, put your finger on it, feel it. You'll know. You can feel where there are little indents and things like that where you might have to spend an extra second with some sandpaper. There's no other way to know unless you get up real close to it or if you put your finger on it. So when you're done with the wet sandpaper, 400, 600, you should have a nice smooth edge. It's finished and ready to go. You're going to want to do this. Finger on this guy. You're going to want to do that on all four sides. So we're going to sand it here, 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 and here to get everything nice and smooth, rounded out so it looks good. Ready to go.